doctorate degree in the field of dumbass, which pretty much translates to 6 years of school without so much as a bachelor's, yes? Allow me to juggle the jargon jumping off of the pages in my textbooks. I cut the center of the pages out of my physics reading utensils and replaced $300 worth of education with $20 of cannabis to counteract the language barrier between me and my science professors. Now this was my systematic way of being incompetent, but I don't pride myself on this, so please hold your compliments. I thought cannabis and study rooms would mix together, but I was in for a rude awakening from the very beginning. I'm being grilled by the sun like a suspect under a light fixture. So much confusion, I have to stand in one spot while the entire school is ripping and running. The sun is moving faster than I can take one step. My deliberations won't let me decide fast enough. Do I want to be athletic or intellectual? Charismatic or well-read? Confabulated or formally calculated? I could do all these things, but that's just hard. So the world slows down and I pick up my book bag. The classroom is so far away and my walk across stage is even more distant than Otis Williams in the 1950s. When I take my last steps of undergrad, this campus won't miss me. I could give a fuck. And I hate that it took me 5 years for the inspiration to hit me. My forehead gradually gets bigger, but I still ingest the Ritalin. So addicted that when I go a week without it, I'm tripping like Scottie Pippen. My stress is a sign that I've lost my sight of intellectual blessings. My decorated vocabulary only put A's on my papers in English class. And if the subject of arithmetic revolved around counting big booties, I'm a mathematical genius. I hate final exams because they paint a picture of me with a brain that doesn't capacitate enough concentration to stay in one spot for hours at a time trying to comprehend 3,000 pages worth of information. If school was a girl, I would hate her because I need her so much. The clearest description of my path to graduation is standing in one spot, and I can't seem to walk that much because I'm too busy talking. One day, there was an epiphany disguised as an apple, and it must have thought I was Isaac Newton because the gravity of the situation pulled me to the blackboard, and by the time I was finished, it was riddled with equations and algorithms. The ideas became Roman candles in my cerebral cortex. As God was exchanging his language with me, the message was clear. I just wasn't using my ears. The mastery of our communication took me 24 years. I finally got the hang of it. Don't try to listen when the message is in smoke signals. Now, I came up with an equation that allows me to keep my dick in my wallet and refrain from tricking money or tricking my dick into sticking the openings to women's reproductive systems. From the madness comes a method. I'm glad I paid attention. So now it's easier for me to listen when my chemistry teacher tries to explain the analysis of dimensions. Maybe I can apply my innovations to a new type of invention. A new type of black man that's proficient and reluctant to be complacent. Never let me wrap this up by saying goofing off is never expected, but a systematic way of being incompetent is no longer accepted. If I can write a 10-page paper for a doctoral candidate and make a 96% without a blink, then 6 years of school obviously did more for me than you could possibly think. Call me a dumbass all you want, just know I'm not dense. If you still don't get it, I'll give you my dictionary so it'll all make sense.
Don't be nice! Let's go.
It all started with a wake-up call. She packed her bags and scolded me because I don't play with her like I used to. We were only 16, but I was too stupid to pick up the signs directly. Trying to figure out what was going on instantaneously became an episode of CSI where she began reminiscing on the times we shared, which were never too complicated and never too simple. Do you remember the days where your friends went out of town every summer and you never had a brother or sister to keep you company? Well, I was always there for you, but you don't seem to appreciate it. So I'm leaving and I'm taking all my thoughts and ideas with me. And just like that, the door slams on my face, my house runs cold, and I stop drawing and writing. Damn. Trying to stick a pen to a piece of paper, but I can't seem to write anything. Trying to mold an image from scratch, but it always turns into a bald piece of paper, spiraling to the bottom of a bottomless trash can. Damn. Our connection was more anomaly than human. It can't be felt, but it can be hypothesized. I even remember the day I took on a sixth sense just to be able to interact with her. She has a tendency to sneak out of my window at night. Most times she wakes me up with my eyes closed and takes me with her. And we don't hop in the cars and sneak off to parties like normal people because we're too busy boarding rocket ships and sailing the Andromeda Galaxy. And everywhere we go seems to look like the inside of Andre 3000's brainwaves, where Antoine goes crazy because you gotta admit, Andre be tripping sometimes. Her heart is like a Hype Williams music video back in the 90s. She's so talented that she could take a mixture of tribal ink, Chinese calligraphy, and barbed wire scattered on walls with bricks and make a Picasso out of other people's differences, which is an acquired taste, but sooner or later appreciated. I don't keep her on a leash because my mind is too open. She runs wilder than a college girl spring breaking in Cancun. She hates it when I use her to undress sexy secretaries, perky waitresses, and dreadlock Michelle Giocellos coated with Virgin Island beauty. That would make me a pervert, but I didn't learn that from her. There's just some things about Penthouse magazines that imaginations just can't seem to understand. It's because of her that I like tall green-haired women with orange titties, because it's like climbing palm trees and picking tangerines. My dreams display pictures and slideshows of things never before seen. Abstract thoughts that don't make sense in a place where subject and verbs don't need to agree. Pull them inside out, turn them into a quote, let them inside themselves, and then maybe you will see why it's too easy for me to turn thoughts into possibilities, turning ideas never before thought of into memories. Even though my childhood toys were never Power Rangers or VR Troopers, she gave me the knowledge to look inside the trash bag boxes and use twisty ties to make stick figurines as a substitution. At 3 years old, I never had a play school rocket ship, but as long as I had her, I possessed the ability to blast off into outer space with something as simple as a cardboard box. Whenever me and my best friend and people like us get rejected by scholastic aptitude tests and correct answers on multiple choice questionnaires, we tend to thank God for ambidextrosity, left-handedness, and artistic figurative alternatives, because what we lack in logical thinking we make up for in creativity. It's the ability to shape, shift, and trim hoaxes into realities. So what, we didn't invent the atomic bomb. We invented news stations that broadcast through broken television so we can tell your eyes that there's much more to life than tangibility cares to show you. Last name, Asian. First name, Imagine. She was here for a purpose. She was the reason for everything that I didn't see. Because of her, I was always a man of two worlds, and because of me, her thoughts never went unheard, but she left when I was only 16. But that's okay because we crossed paths again like soulmates are supposed to. She looked me in my eyes for 10 days straight and told me she couldn't stop crying. Do you remember? Of course I do. And come to think about it, I never ever seem to forget. She reached her hand and touched my forehead, and she got back in my memory and I told her I'm sorry. She was back with me. The world spun backwards like one of the greatest Michael Jackson music videos to ever hit MTV. Accepting my apology, she was back in my heart. It felt so good to feel her touch again. The essence of our reconnection was based on one of the biggest I'm sorry's this world has ever heard of. Last name, Asian. First name, Imagine. And I know some of you might have objections when I say this, but some of the best things that have ever happened to us aren't even human. And it's best if you never let it slip through your fingers. Audience, I want you to meet my imagination. Imagination, I want you to meet my audience. We're getting married in a couple of weeks. Can't you see the ring on her finger? We should have done this 6 years ago. Imagine that.
Yeah.